Okay, it's Friday the 22nd of July. I've got a reasonable amount of bandwidth, so I'm live streaming on YouTube. This is the Free Association radio show. Live streaming, my live stream setup is a bit basic and functional. Let me record a local version as well. There we go. So I've got an audio version recording on the Rodecaster Pro. I've got a video version recording on the laptop, and I've got a version recording on YouTube on the live stream. So between the three of them, I should get a reasonable chance of having a good quality audio recording. So it's the Free Association radio show. This is the live stream version, and it's Friday evening. It's 5:25, so 5:30. I'm probably going to do this for about half an hour. I've got a good connection, so I want to make the most of it. So I'm just going to talk for half an hour and see how we get on with audio. The audio on the laptop looks okay. So my setup is I've got the laptop standing on a waste paper basket, which is on a table in front of me. I've got the Rodecaster Pro on the table in front of me. Then this mic's running through the Rodecaster Pro. I haven't adjusted any of the settings on the laptop, but it looks like the audio on the video is alright, and the audio on this recording will be okay because this microphone sounds fine to me in the headphones. So the setup looks okay. I've got to find a better background probably, but that's the only thing that needs sorting out, and I can sort that out with VCam. VCam will give me a virtual background when I need one. I'm not bothered about things being a bit of a mess in here. It's just that's the way it is. I tend to make things up as I go along, which means I've got a lot of things out in front of me that I'm halfway through or whatever. That's the way I do things. So today's Friday the 22nd of July, as I said. So it's fast approaching 5:30 in the evening, and it's been quite a good day. All in all, I missed a phone call this morning from Restart. They were supposed to ring me at 11:30, and they actually rang me at 12 o'clock. So I'm assuming it was a phone call conversation that was meant to be happening, because the text message I got said it was a remote meeting. So that's my conclusion. But they rang me at 12 o'clock anyway. I was in the bath, so I didn't get to the telephone quickly enough. There was a little bit of a call, but nobody could hear me, and I couldn't hear anybody on the other end. So I don't even know whether they could hear me or not. I'm assuming they probably couldn't if I couldn't hear them. But at least they know I picked the call up, so they know that I've answered it. I'll have to email them and work out another way of doing the conversation that we were going to have. I'll just send them an update via email or whatever over the weekend or Monday probably. And I've had a universal credit meeting this afternoon with a lady called Penny, who was quite helpful. So a couple of years ago, on a telephone call when the lockdown was happening and everything was happening by telephone for universal credit, somebody suggested to me that BT had a scheme to subsidise broadband for people on universal credit. So I asked Penny about that this afternoon, and she said it's no longer BT that does it, but there is a scheme with TalkTalk, so she's investigating that for me. So maybe I'll be able to get a reasonable broadband service in here via TalkTalk and get a subsidy because of my universal credit application, my universal credit dependency, really. Well, it's not. It is dependency, but it's not, because I have worked in the last couple of months. But I actually it cost me money to work. I did 5 weeks work. This is a bizarre thing about universal credit and the tapering system that they have. So the taper is universal credit takes away 60%, 66% of the money that you earn if you work up to a certain level. So I wasn't past that level, so I ended up doing 5 weeks work. So 4 weeks of, I got paid the first month 4 weeks, and then I got paid 1 week the second month. So the universal credit took a fairly hefty chunk of my benefits away from me when I was earning a reasonable amount of money, which is fair enough. That was the first month. For the second month, I had a week's wages, so I had about £400, £350, something like that. But the way the tapering works, they took off a hefty chunk because it takes 66% of that away. So they took £300 out of my £850, which leaves me with £500 or £550 or whatever for the month, of which 525 is my rent. So admittedly, I did have a week's wages to work with, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought I'd already had them in the first month that I got paid. So it was a bit of a surprise to me when I get my universal credit statement and it's £550 instead of 800. So it's a bit bizarre. I don't know exactly how the tapering system works, but it's rubbish basically. It needs to be sorted out. So that's my experience with universal credit. And obviously, I did this work in April, so the job didn't work out. So I was back on universal credit again in May and June, and now we're into July. So it's been about 3 months since I did the work, but only 2 months since I got paid. It was telesales work, by the way. So if anybody has any telesales vacancies that they might want to employ me for, I don't normally get this good a connection from my apartment, but when it's available, it's pretty much okay. That's why I need to sort the broadband out. But once the broadband's sorted out, I could potentially work from home. I don't really want to work from home, but I could potentially do it. So if anybody out there has a telesales or customer service role that I can do from home part-time, then I'm interested in hearing about it. So you can leave me a comment on the video. I'll make this video public if it's not already. I think I might have left it as an unlisted stream. But I'll make it public, and you can leave me a comment underneath if you've got any work that you want me to consider. It has to fit in with my hours, that's the thing. It has to fit in with my hours and my work schedule, because I'm doing radio shows and I'm recording podcasts, and I'm trying to do everything about 50-50 for the time being, because I don't make any money from the radio or the podcasting as yet, which is why I need a part-time job. But obviously, if I can get the radio show producing an income, again, another thing that might be possible is sponsorship for the radio show and podcast. It's a show that goes out on Revolution Radio on a Saturday afternoon, my time, so 4 o'clock till 5 my time, 11 till 12 on the East Coast in the States. It's a small audience, but there's an audience in the USA. There's also a global audience because I turned it into a podcast, and it's on the podcast as well, which goes out on Spotify and Google Podcasts and iTunes and all of those places. Anywhere you can find podcasts, you'll find a Free Association Radio Show podcast and Roundtable, which is how I've named it on there. So if you look up Free Association Roundtable, there is only my show that's a roundtable. There's quite a few free associations, but there's only my show that's a roundtable in the name. So yeah, that's the way to find it, really. Okay, so I'm not going to play clips today. I'm just going to talk and see how I feel. So it's the weekend of National Pride in Newcastle this weekend. What that means is we've got quite a few people coming in from Scotland and from the south of England. It's a festival really. It's a weekend in the park, but there's some peripheral things that are a bit more political and a bit more about human rights. And there's a march through the town at about 11:30 or 12 o'clock tomorrow, which I haven't decided whether I want to do the march or not yet. If I do, then I'll record something on my phone. It's not going to be practical to do anything on the laptop, I don't think. But if I record something on my phone, then I can use it on the radio show later that afternoon. So I may do the Pride March, and then I can describe what's going on the Newcastle. So there's a couple of ways that I can describe it. So it's describing people and banners and what have you, and costumes, and also describing the landmarks of Newcastle as much as I can. So that makes for maybe 10 minutes of the radio show on Saturday if I do it. And it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all. Or maybe I'll just stay in this flat and do a show as a warm-up show and see if I can find some live coverage on YouTube. That might be an easy way to do it. Saves me having to walk around or make any effort at all, really. So I could potentially do that. If there's somebody live streaming it, which I'm guessing they will be, or maybe not, I don't know. I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would officially anyway. There was nothing on the website about live streaming a march. There was nothing really on the website about a march. It was all about the concert. In fact, it was all about tickets for the concert, and the lineup is rubbish. The lineup is just utter shit. It used to be a much better lineup back in the 90s when I was doing a march and going to the park afterwards. Anyway, so that's what's happening in Newcastle this weekend. That's the main thing that's happening. Yeah, I think that's probably enough for this live stream. I don't really need to talk for half an hour. I could talk for 25 minutes probably, but I don't really need to. I don't feel the need. So I'm going to end it there, and I expect that the recordings turned out okay in all three of those places. So that's the Roadcaster Pro switched off, that's the local recording switched off, and that's the stream stuff switched off.